Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. As a representative of Pratimoksha, Dubai's premier yoga studio, I want to take you on a journey that goes way beyond the typical stretching and deep breathing you might be used to. Today, we're diving into a fundamental pillar of our philosophy. We're going to talk about taking breathwork away from being just a simple class warm-up and elevating it back to the rigorous, transformative discipline it was always meant to be. If you've ever felt like you're just kind of going through the motions in your yoga practice, well, you're in exactly the right place.
To set the stage, I want to share a foundational insight from our founder here at Pratimoksha, Lalitha Viswanath. She often points out something that really catches people off guard. She says that most people who start pranayama are simply trying to breathe better. But honestly, that's not really the point. Treating breathwork merely as a quick fix to breathe a little deeper is usually the exact spot where a practitioner stalls out. If you're just chasing a temporary feeling of relaxation, you're barely scratching the surface of what this practice can actually do for your body and mind.
So, before we get into the heavy lifting, I want to ask you a question that brings our studio's philosophy directly into your reality, right in this very moment. How is your breathing right now? No, really, don't change it. Just pause, notice it. Is it shallow? Is it stuck high up in your chest? Is it fast? Most of us are completely detached from our breath until we're literally gasping for air or feeling totally overwhelmed. Becoming intimately aware of this baseline is the absolute first step in true pranayama. When we break down the actual meaning of the word, you can see why we teach pranayama exactly as it was originally intended, not as some modern wellness fad or a trendy 30-second breathing hack. Pranayama breaks down into prana, which means life force, and ayama, meaning extension or control. It's a discrete classical discipline. In the ancient texts, it sits right alongside asana, the physical postures, and dhyana, meditation. It's one of the 8 limbs of yoga, and it commands its own dedicated, serious focus.
There is a massive difference between what you might experience at a standard gym class versus what we do at Pratimoksha. A simple breathing exercise, that's your temporary, 5-minute class warm-up. You know the drill. 3 rounds of deep breathing, a quick pause, and then boom, you rush right into the physical postures. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that as a gentle introduction, but it isn't pranayama. True pranayama is a discipline. It requires rigorous, sustained attention. Conflating the two is exactly why so many practitioners assume they've already done breathwork when, in reality, they've barely even touched it.
Which brings us to Section 1, Rewiring the Nerves, Structural Change.
We aren't just talking about a fleeting feeling of calm. We are talking about literally rewiring your nervous system. And the best part? It's entirely measurable. To put this into perspective, a 2024 study from the Department of Physiology at AIIMS Bhopal looked at regular practitioners and found measurable shifts in heart rate variability and altered brainwave activity within a single session. On top of that, clinical data on alternate nostril breathing shows that just 6 weeks of regular practice meaningfully strengthens your parasympathetic tone. That's the rest and digest part of your nervous system. These aren't just subjective feelings. This is hard evidence that proper practice is closer to serious physiological training than a simple relaxation technique.
So why is this so crucial for us right now? That leads us to Section 2, the Dubai stress factor, constant pressure. At our studio, we see the impact of this constant pressure every single day. The friction of city life here in Dubai is intense. Our students are dealing with long daily commutes across the city. We live with air conditioning running most of the year, which directly affects the air we breathe. And, of course, there's the relentless professional culture in hubs like Business Bay and DIFC. Life here naturally leads to chronic, shallow, and fast breathing patterns. The scary part is that your body adapts to this low-grade pressure and mistakenly registers this anxious, shallow breathing as your new normal.
Because so many of us are operating at this high-stress baseline, we have to be incredibly careful. Actually, scratch that. We have to be highly strategic. Unstructured breathwork can actually increase sympathetic activation and anxiety. If you just jump onto YouTube and try to teach yourself intense breathing techniques without guidance, you can push a nervous system that's already under constant low-grade pressure right over the edge. Holding your breath longer than your body can handle without strain, that's going to leave you far more anxious, not less.
Which brings us right back to the wisdom of our founder. Lalitha Viswanath insists on a highly structured, supervised approach for a very specific reason. As she puts it, pranayama, done carelessly, can do the opposite of what it promises. If you practice the wrong pattern at the wrong time, you are actively working against your own body. This is exactly why, at Pratimoksha, we don't just throw you into advanced retention techniques on day 1. We build the foundation first.
And that foundation is built through Section 3, the Pratimoksha progression. This is our step-by-step method. let's walk through the exact progression we use in our signature Prana and Beyond course. This structure is everything. We always start with stage 1, awareness, just observing the natural breath, which honestly is often the hardest stage for beginners. Then we move to ratio work, where we master specific inhale to exhale timing. Only after that do we introduce stage 3, retention, holding the breath under very close guidance. Stage 4 utilizes nostril-specific techniques to balance the nervous system. And finally, integration, where we layer breath control with seated stillness. Skipping stages, like trying to hold your breath for 2 minutes before you've mastered basic ratio work, is exactly where self-taught practitioners hit a wall.
Now, fair warning, as you move through these stages, you're going to encounter something very specific: discomfort. Pranayama requires a real willingness to sit with the discomfort that shows up when the breath is deliberately restrained. We remind our students in the studio all the time that this discomfort isn't a bad thing. It's not a sign that you're doing it wrong. That discomfort is exactly where the actual work happens. It's where you expand your capacity.
Once you commit to this discipline and push through that initial friction, you reach section 4, the path to stillness, our ultimate focus.
One of the most fascinating transformations we see is how serious pranayama changes a student's physical practice. For most people, yoga postures feel like a separate, exhausting physical effort that the breath just sort of happens to accompany. But with disciplined breath work, the postures become natural extensions of the breath itself. The effort literally melts away. This is exactly why our Prana and Beyond course sits at the heart of our broader signature program. The breath and the body are meant to profoundly inform each other.
And then we reach the ultimate destination. Because here's the secret. A settled nervous system is what makes stillness possible in the first place. You simply cannot force a stressed, wired brain into meditation. Breathwork is the natural, biological entry point into seated meditation. It paves the road. This seamless progression is exactly how our breathwork feeds directly into our dhyana meditation workshops at Pratimoksha. You calm the nervous system first, and the mind naturally follows.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final grounding thought from Lalitha Viswanath. What separates a real pranayama practice from an occasional breathing exercise isn't ambition, it's consistency. Applying this discipline slowly, respectfully, and over a long stretch of time is literally the only way to actually change your body at a structural level. You don't need to be the most ambitious breather in the room. You just need to show up, trust the structure, and be consistent. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to experience the first stage of structured breathwork with us? Have you been stuck treating your breath as just a quick warm-up? If you're curious about what this true progression actually feels like, I warmly invite you to book a trial class at our Oud Method Studio. Come join us, observe your baseline, and begin a journey that will genuinely rewire your system from the inside out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I truly hope to see you on the mat very soon.